That was the sound of my balls hitting the water because I'm getting old and these things are a foot long. Jonathan, who's actually older than me, ladies and gentlemen, he is, I mean, it's the truth.
That's bad.
It is bad. I'm sorry. I don't mean to introduce you in such a negative light up front, but I just have to make it known I am the younger of us.
We have to be honest here. Yeah.
No, not by much. I mean, we're all getting old. I mean, I think we're past 30, so that's the cutoff.
After that, you're old. Before you're good.
Yeah. Before you deserve to live. Actually, that is the premise of Logan's Run. It's an old 1970-something sci-fi movie where once you turn 30, they execute you. So no one's over 30. Well, I'm glad we don't live in that world because I'd be dead. And Jonathan, oh yes, him too.
Yeah, long ago.
But the thing is, and speaking of which, I think I might have told this story before, but I gotta say it again because it is appropriate for this episode. I worked at a hotel one time, and the old man. Did I tell the story? I told this. Old man came up to the front desk and he was very angry. He says to me, he's like, I think the water in your toilets is too goddamn high. I said, what do you mean by that, sir? Oh, he said, my balls went into the water, and that's why I did the intro. Because that's just what I'm picturing. And I wish that we had cameras in those bathrooms so I could see his face. Because he said it in full confidence. And I remember thinking, at what age do you stop caring? At what age do you become the old ass guys in the locker room at 24 Hour Fitness with their dicks hanging around like a fucking elephant trunk? And I'm just thinking to myself, why is it never the young attractive me? It's always these old fucks who are so... When does that confidence start? When do you get to just fuck it? Like, this is me and God made me and this is what I am. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
When no one cares. It's like all my friends are dead and there are no social consequences to it. I think out right now.
What a level of freedom! Like what a sense of enlightenment that is, to realize that suddenly you're just, I don't have to impress anyone. I no longer have to, fuck it. And
it's almost tragic that it takes that long. It
is.
It's like what you're describing sounds amazing. I'm like, wow. What a great state of mind. I don't care.
Even the thing is, like, I hope I do care about that. I hope I care that my old ass body isn't going to be it's an eyesore.
No, I don't want to care about any of it. I just want to be like, no, it's fine.
I don't know. I hope that when I'm that age, I have the money to just replace my body part by part until I am a G.I. Joe and I look like one.
It's coming.
No, I am 30 years old, and for those of you who don't know, and 30 years old is quite the 30-year mark is quite an age of perspective, I think, because you really are at this, when you're in your 20s, you're still kind of a young adult, right? Everyone's like, oh, you're a young adult, you're in your 20s, you're still a kid, some might say.
Go out there, make some mistakes.
Go out there and learn the rules and learn what you want. Find your passion.
Yeah.
And then you get into your 30s, and I feel like there's a different stigma with the 30s. The 30s are, I get, when I immediately think of someone in their 30s, I think of stability. I think of domestic, sort of a suburban, like that's where people start to really settle in, understand what their plant their roots and we live in Los Angeles, and we are, for lack of a better term, sort of the struggling artists of our families. I know you, me. I mean, we're Rachel, everyone that's in our sort of inner circle. 100%. We're all sort of here as sort of the one who chased our dreams in each of our families. And it's cool to be that one, but it's also, you're also learning a different level of a different code of ethics as you get older, because your code of ethics before, like mine, for instance, was I was going to get married, have a wife, have kids, have a family, live in a neighborhood, have a decent job in an office, 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. That was honestly what I figured my future was, because that's everything I knew as a kid. Right. Here I am in my 30s now. And at this point, I've lived in LA for about 7 years. And in that time, I've realized, oh, that's just the fate of my family. I can have my own fate, and I can control that fate, and I can have whatever kind of... So now here I am in my 30s having to relearn what I always thought in my 30s I would be in a house, and I would be like a suburban neighborhood, and I would have like a real desk job, and I would have just stability, just in the traditional sense of the word. And I do have stability, but not in the traditional sense. I have it in this weird, like, acid colored, world of entertainment. And I'm not supporting a family. I'm supporting only myself, which at times makes me feel like I'm getting selfish as I get older. But then I'm also like, I don't know. I think it would be more selfish of me to bring people into this fucked up world that's overpopulated. That's a whole other different side of things. But that's just I have to that's what the angel on my shoulder or the devil, whichever one combats the other. That's the counter argument is when I start to feel sad about that and like, I don't have a family to take care of. But I'm also like, well, I don't know. Like when I see people laugh at the videos or listen to or like just find any enjoyment in what I do, it's kind of like being a fun uncle to lots of people. I think you can say just as an entertainer, like,
I mean, there's meaning in all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be one form of meaning.
And so I feel very fulfilled. I think I get the sense that either you or I feel like we have I think we have very cool lives living in LA as young people. And
like newsflash, life as it happens is going to be different from the way you imagined it.
Yeah.
And similarly, getting older and growing up is going to be, it's going to be different for everyone, and it's going to be different than you imagined it. You're just going to learn lessons you didn't expect to learn.
I was actually thinking about this when I went for a walk. I think it was, before I fucked up my ankle. By the way, you guys are listening to this about two days ago, I fucked up my ankle. And I've been hobbling around. Old man move. And that's what really, I've been thinking a lot about getting older, especially as I walk around. And it has made me think, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I just realized getting out of the car was like a struggle when I got here in the fucking Uber. It's my right foot, so I can't drive. Like I really can't. My ankle is very, very, very sore. I twisted it when I fell. You'll see it in the final. Well, unless this episode, I think this episode might come out after the episode, or maybe the same. I don't know. If Blame the Hero episode 5 is out, there's a scene. I want to say like halfway through. I don't know. I fall.
It'll be in there.
I flip over. I twist my ankle, and so it's very sore. And it's got me thinking. Very freeze frameable. I was trying to just walk over to the Starbucks this morning, get a goddamn coffee, and it was a fucking chore. I thought I could do it, and I'm like halfway. I'm like walking. Like I'm like 2 blocks, it's 3 blocks from my place. I'm like a block and a half away. I'm halfway there, and I felt like, do I turn around or do I keep going? Well, it's the same either fucking way. I'm fucked, and I just remember feeling like, this is what old people feel like.
100%.
This is like
we were talking a little bit about this before the podcast, but like the physical manifestation of getting older is one of the first ways that it hits you. Like this is a perfect case in point, because like I bet even the exact same move 10 years ago wouldn't have sprained your ankle, and like I remember the first time that I pulled a muscle because I didn't, warm up first. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like 18 or 19, but I just couldn't believe it, because when you're 14, you can just run full blast right now, etc.
I start to feel fear about my body deteriorating, but then there's hope because I have a friend in her 70s, and she might kill me for saying that, but I think she's quite open about it. I don't know. I think she is. Anyways, yeah.
Let's assume so.
Paulette Jones, who plays Donna, is very active. I don't know if you've seen her lately. Well, you saw her
a couple weeks ago.
She's lost weight.
Oh, yeah. She's on keto. What?
She's on keto, and she said she goes I think jogging or hiking every day. One of the two. Every day.
Very active, takes care of herself.
And she's in her 70s. And so I'm like thinking to myself, okay, well, I mean, if she can do, and she does all of her, not that she's doing crazy stunts in my videos, but any stunt you do see her do, and some of them are a bit crazy. She does them all herself. And it's like, that gives me hope that to see her being able to pull off this stuff at her age. I'm like, okay, as long as I take care of my body, as long as I stay active, then I will be, healthy. God forbid any injury happens and who knows with these videos, who knows what the fuck I can do to myself. But, knock on wood, nothing happens. But you know, I don't think hope is lost. I think there's this fear of like, oh, when I get old, I'm going to be like this old ass fuck. Well, maybe that's because all the old ass fucks you know are just unhealthy old people. Like,
right?
When I
because there's the body getting older, but there's also like wear and tear. It's like, wow, I have all these scars, I have all these injuries, and like if I haven't been like wrecked by a few things, then you can be fine.
So I know so many of the old people in my family have lived like eating shit junk food, like never exercising, coming home from their ass job, getting on that couch and watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and they were just eating drink and piss and shit, and that's just how they fucking treated their bodies. Cracker Jack and McDonald's and Bing Bang Bong. And it's like, and somehow they're still fucking able to walk their fat fucking asses to the movie theater and watch something in their goddamn 70s. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be A-okay. Just take care of yourself. And yes, old people do look like they're fucking dying, because I think most old people do take care of themselves like that. I think that most people in their lives, just not old people, just in general, how many people do you know just who eat Oreos all the time? And you're probably, most people who listen to this are young. And when I was younger, son of a... and this is not because I'm old. I smoked a fucking joint and I've been drinking coffee and I had a lot of spit in my mouth and I inhaled. Anyways, when I'm... What was I saying, Jonathan?
That all these old people, they're fine.
Oh, no, they're not. Well, these old people, yeah, they're fine. But it's like when I was in high school, kids were always eating just junk food all the time. And even now, people I know who are my age just eat junk. Well, you and I eat, like, I think most people in my inner circle happen to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. But I know for a majority of people, especially not living in a metropolitan area, a majority of people just always generally eat unhealthy in this country, at least. That's true. But like, look at our like senior citizens make it into their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they're just I think we're fine, but I also think that stigma of like you see people with the oxygen tubes and it's like, oh, I don't want to get old. Well, also that person was probably one of the many vast majority of the people I just described. Like that person, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to. Oh fuck, I see how this can be taken. I'm not trying to say that like
no. The point is take care of yourself and you have to live happy. Or you have to like have a healthy lifestyle.
Yourself. Exactly, and I'm speaking,
if you want to make it into the later years.
My family has and had a bunch of old people. I have seen so many old people in my family up close, like go into dementia, Alzheimer's, death, like what literally die. Like I have seen just that phase of life so much up close, and I also see what they were like before they got there. And and there are people in my family who are healthy and they did live longer. And I remember my grandfather was he would go walking every morning at the mall, even when he was like in his late 80s, just walking, going to, and I remember when like, cause he had an open casket funeral. I remember looking at his body going like, I hope I die in shape, like, because he was in. Like, I was like, like, I want to die looking as good as that, because he was old, but he definitely wasn't like, like.
And it wasn't sexual. It wasn't.
No, I wasn't turned on by it. But no, in all seriousness, like he took care of himself, and like even right up in to death, like it paid off, and I just.
Interesting. I think it's hard to have that kind of accurate snapshot, and sometimes like it takes a little bit of getting older to see the consequences of that. You have to like see something over like a 10-year time span where it's like, you see someone have bad habits and then you see the consequences of them later, but it's also rare and super useful to see a quick snapshot. You're like, well, that guy was always going on a walk.
Right.
That guy was always staying healthy and he looks great and he lived many years.
Right.
And then see someone it's like, oh, that person did not take care of themselves and they died quickly. And I know the ways that they didn't take care of themselves and now they're gone. Like these things just have to start to make sense to you as you witness it and witness it and witness it.
And it sucks because I was not raised with good nutrition. I mean, we talked about this many times. I was raised on McDonald's. And so it's like, as I get older, I'm having to relearn my body's needs, and like moving out of my parents' place, I had to suddenly start to be like, oh, it's my job to eat healthy and to understand how this food helps my body. And it's funny.
It's a hard thing to understand.
We never had a nutrition class in public school growing up. Never. It wasn't even offered in an elective.
Yeah.
Like, that's bullshit.
Even the government, the food pyramid, it was like 12 servings of bread a day is what you need. And you're just like, okay.
Oh, okay. Is that because y'all are
the bread industry?
Are y'all shareholders with fucking Bimbo or fucking whatever bread company? No, do you remember, what was that white bread? The one with the dots on it? Wonder bread. Do they still make that?
Oh, yeah. I loved it as a kid because it was so soft and filled with,
it's weird.
Polyethylene benzoate.
Yeah, I know. It was the typical American bread because it was before people knew about how chemicals being bad.
Yeah.
And it was like,
this is good for a year.
This is good for a year. Yeah. But I love the packaging with the dots. That sold me every time.
Yeah. And it was a very soft peanut butter and jelly. I loved it.
Oh my God. Wonder Bread made the best PB&J sandwiches because it was almost like sponge cake.
Correct.
Oh my God. That's crazy. The older you get, you also see how like products phase in and out. Yeah. And it's like, God, I remember when they made that. God, I wish they could, or just because I think we did have a lot of cool stuff growing up as kids, but I don't know. I don't know what kids eat these days. Maybe they have cooler shit now. I don't know. I think getting older, I don't know. Yeah, you do have to learn to take care of yourself. You have to learn.
And that's a weird part of it is just like responsibility. Like how like you get older. What does getting older mean? Like in part it means you have to accept realities and accept responsibility for your future in your life.
You know what's weird is that I feel like I aged backwards almost because I was at that mindset when I was in my early 20s and I'm like, well, this is my life. I have to work at an office job and I have to do this and I'm going to be fat. I'm going to be a heavy guy. And like, this is just who I am. I'm the heavy, funny guy at the office. Or I do YouTube on the side, Mm-hmm. And then when YouTube took off, I lost all the way. And then I started realizing I can have because I never had those fun, skinny, young boy get 'em years where I just like, was I one of the young, fun, like, did what I want. Like in high school, a little bit I had that phase, but I felt like there's a big part of my like college years that I missed out on just being a young guy, and just having, I never had like a fun phase. And I didn't really have like my childhood. There are patches of it where I'm like, I wish I did this, or I think everyone feels that way. There's like, I wish I can go back and have this, these years that everyone has in the movies, or that I missed out on this patch of. I don't think it's an uncommon thing to feel.
But I think that's kind of just because like everyone lives. There's like a main way to live your early 20s.
Yeah,
and then you did it a different way. So you're like, I didn't have the main way. I guess I did it wrong. I wish I had. And it's like, no, you just had a different.
Well, I was talking with my therapist about the things like just we were just talking about things in your past that affect you presently, and it's weird because once I started to, once I made enough money to quit YouTube and I started doing that full time, and then I got Magic Funhouse, and I truly was living in my own world at that point, and I was no longer having to accept the responsibility of I have to be an office drone for someone else's company, and I have to, look this way, and I have to dress this way, Once I realized I can look any way I want, act any way I want, and be anyone, literally anybody I wanted to be, it made me feel like I can get those years back. And it was funny because my therapist was analyzing just similarities of my work, because throughout my whole YouTube career, any project I've done that was a narrative project has always been kind of an echo of where I was in that point of time. Theater class, going viral, neighborhood patrol. Like those were all kind of mirrored elements of my life at that time. I was taking theater class during theater class. I was like heavily, involved with my neighborhood during neighborhood patrol. During going viral, I was literally trying to go viral. And that was the last series I did before I did. Or that was the last. So it's been very, very close with where I've been. So then when Magic Funhouse came out, my therapist was like analyzing sort of what that mirrored. And it's a show, for those of you who don't know, about a guy who runs a children's TV show, and he's been in a coma for 20 years, or some extremely long time. And he is using this children's show as a means to not just find his parents, but also sort of live out this childhood he never had. And he's kind of like a child in an adult's body. And so it's weird because I feel like it does sort of reflect, I'm at this age right now where I do feel like I'm trying to scoop up some lost years. And I feel like I'm kind of doing crazy, weird, dangerous, horrible things in the process. But I don't know. I do. These last 2 years specifically has really held a magnifying glass to my own mortality, my own age, my own place in the world, and just my identity. And like, as I never thought of myself as an older person. And now that I'm starting to see a new generation exist from beneath me, and I'm starting to see myself get old. I'm starting to, now I'm in my 30s. I never thought of myself as a person in his 30s. I always thought of myself as a young, I don't know. I think I've just always perpetually saw myself at like 23. So
yeah, that's interesting. And you start to like, it's almost like your identity and what you've learned about yourself now has the context of other generations to put itself in. Like you have context for who you feel you are.
Right. And it is
so weird to look like to see a younger generation come up. I feel like that's one of the first a very important moment in getting older and growing up is like where you realize that there are younger people and that you're not just the youngest.
Right.
You're like, wow, these 5-year-olds have something I didn't have.
We're at the point now where there is it's like having a younger brother. It's like now I have to accept I'm no longer the bottom of this I don't know, chain of command, or not chain of command, but I'm no longer the fresh apple. There's now a new generation who is newer than me. That's the most redundant fucking sentence I've ever said in my life.
It's still a revelation.
Wow, it's so deep. And
I can't believe that there's someone
meaningful.
younger. No, listen to me. They're younger. Do you understand?
The younger people are younger than me. But anyway, I also want to point out really quick. I've been wearing these pants for like 24 hours. And yesterday I put, or no, maybe even longer.
Get off my couch.
I was eating Mexican food and these chips, I don't know how, but somehow these chips went down my pants. And they're skinny jeans. And I've had a broken chip in like the side of my knee for like 2 days. And it's the most uncomfortable thing. Because
you're crazy.
So my skinny jeans are filled with chips down the inner side of. Anyway,
chips? You've been putting chips in your pants again?
Well, because they're skinny jeans. It's not easy to like shake out the chips. You can't just shake out. They're like.
But how did they get into your pants?
So we ate. So I was playing. This is right before I injured my leg. I was changing characters. I was going from Sebastian to Blame. And we were eating Mexican food, and I was changing at the table.
I see.
And so I'm putting on these skinny jeans.
You're changing at the table. Classic.
Yeah. Go ahead. I put on the skinny jeans, and the chips must have fallen in there. But then I felt something in my pants, so I pressed it, and it broke. And then so now I have it started multiplying. Like every time you offend it, it like duplicates itself.
Right. Now there are 1,000 edges.
Yes, like 1,000 little pricks in my pants. And I'm too fucking in pain with my ankle to take off the pants all the way. I've been giving myself PTA baths. I'm not kidding. I washed my privates and my armpits and my asshole. I don't know why I had to mention the asshole on top of the privates, but I had to, because I can't take off my pants because and I don't think it's broken. I don't think my foot's broken, but. That's the story.
Let's just assume that. Don't worry about getting it checked out, Brandon. Just assume it's not broken.
I get it checked out. What are they going to say? It's either broken and they're going to say stay off it and put ice on it, or
and take this cast and you need surgery.
No. Oh my god. Now I'm thinking it. I hope not. I mean, I'm able to walk. I think I'm fine. But I think the injury's mild enough to where the doctor's just going to say stay off it and keep it iced
and give me your money.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? Fuck you, doctor, cheap dick. I'm keeping my leg the way it is, and I'm putting some ice someday.
This is my leg from here on out.
This is my leg.
I accept this leg.
And I accept it. Cut to a week later. Oh my god!
Chop it off. Cut
it off. Anyway, but yeah, anyway, yeah. So in your 30s, you think about these things. You think about what limb needs to go next, what needs to go on my body.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that like I think your body is just always changing. Puberty like never stops because I notice I've had like nose hairs now, and I never had nose hairs before.
Yeah, you're like, wow, these things grow fast.
I'm like, wow, that's like an old man puberty.
Every year, I mentioned this on Neuroses, but like every year, like my ear hairs become more intense. I'm like, oh my god, like,
oh my god. Luckily, those haven't gotten. I think you were always the kid who went slightly a little more puberty first.
But no, I was a late bloomer.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, very late.
I was a medium bloomer. I was like right when all the other kids started popping off.
I was like a year and a half later to start.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I love the
it taught me how to grow character. Yeah, it was good. It was good that I was made fun of a lot. That was good.
Oh, I'm so. Well, how old were you when it really like kicked in?
Yes, I don't know, 16.
Are you?
It was
really?
Yeah. I mean,
that's late.
Yeah,
I was.
I don't know. I mean, there are varying degrees of it, but it was like, like I didn't have any like armpit hair. You know, like I didn't have any kind of like mustache or beard or anything. The mustache or beard was more like 18.
Yeah. I got there about. I was shaving. I was definitely shaving by either sophomore or freshman year. I remember that because my mom was dating this prick at the time, and she was like, "If you need shaving advice, talk to." I'm not going to say his name here, but
he doesn't deserve it.
Right. But and I would just be like, I'd be like, "Fuck that! I'm not talking to that prick on how to put a knife to my face. I'm going to learn myself." And I got all kinds of rashes and cuts and you name it. But I'll tell you what, I didn't have to have that molester touching me. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't molest me. But
to my knowledge.
I
haven't blacked out any.
I did wake up a little looser than normal on one or two occasions. No, but yeah, I know that I was probably around like, I want to say 13 or 14. I can't remember. But other than the facial hair stuff, because it is always unattractive when it first starts. It's never like, it's like just gross. Keep it clean shaven until you have enough to like.
But you're so excited to be like, look at these 9 hairs.
But I wasn't, because I understood how weird it looked. I understood how I'm just like, nope, just keep it shaved until I have something to grow. And even now, I'm like, I just keep it shaved. But
I had one whisker that basically my first or third whisker. I think it was like my best whisker of the first 3 that I like wouldn't shave because I would try to act like I just forgot to, like, I missed a spot when I was shaving today. I try to play it off like it's like one fucking long whisker. It's like, you don't miss that one, dude. It's not how shaving goes.
It's good that you felt proud about it though. Like instead of being like, because like instead of thinking like, wow, it looks weird, just one thing. Like you were supportive of the one. I think it speaks a lot to your political views. It speaks a lot to your.
Yeah, I think everything I am can be can be seen in this anecdote.
That's interesting.
And I would play it off multiple days in a row. Like 3 days later, I'm like, oh yeah, I missed. But it's like, that's the same hair. Like, you idiot.
It's like, you idiot.
It's not working.
Someone brings a razor to school. I knew you were going to forget it. Let me get this story.
You must have missed this spot again.
No, Jimmy. You have a name for it. Yeah. How old were you when your voice dropped?
I think maybe like 16 and a half. Really? 16. Yeah, I mean, somewhere around there. It might have been, God, fuck. It was so long ago. I don't even remember.
I think everything happened for me. I want to say it was all around 13, 14. Like, I just remember it wasn't like a gradual thing. I feel like it just all like, but physically, the physical changes of my body, I thought like, I was afraid I was going to, because I knew that there was like somewhat of a physical transformation. I was afraid what I was going to look like up the other side. Mm-hmm. And I was so much more I evolved. Like, I hated how my voice sounded pre-puberty. And then afterward, I was like, oh, thank God. Because even now, I still think my voice is a lot higher than I wish it was. But my voice, before my balls fell out of my body, it was quite womanly. I hated answering the phone to telemarketers. And they'd be like, hello, ma'am, can I interest you? And I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like, and I like, hanging up on them wasn't enough. I'd have to be like, I'm a man. And then I'd hang up. Like, I hated when people thought I was a woman when I answered the phone. And so once my voice started to drop, more and more people started saying, oh, hey, Tony? Because A, we had house phones back in the day and any family member could pick him up. And B, Tony was my dad's name and people thought that I was my dad. And once people started, I'd say, hello. Oh, hey, Tony? I'd be like, yes! Like, fuck yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
I actually would. I would try and like deepen. Like when I would talk, when I go to school, I tried making my voice a little deeper. The facial hair thing, I wasn't that proud of. Like facial hair, all the men in my family are clean shaven, so I never really had like a beard to look up to, literally. But but the voice, the men in my family they always had like decent, charismatic voices, and I always hated that my voice was up. Yeah. So when I started to like feel my voice get deeper, that's when I tried doing what you did with your hair, and I tried really, milking that out.
Yeah. But, I think I did that too. It makes sense.
Really? Yeah. I
just in subtle ways try to get away with it. Like, oh, that's just because I haven't woken up yet. Totally. It's like, okay.
You know what I said. The first time I heard my voice was mortifying to me. I was 11 years old, and my dad had me perform part of the ceremony at his wedding. And I'm like proud because it's my moment. I was such a little closeted gay kid without a moment to shine. This was my first audience because no school play ever wanted me. And I get my little fat brown ass up at that altar, and I start to do the ceremony. And then I get home, and he's got the VHS. He's, hey, let's gather around. Let's gather the family. Let's watch the wedding. And we start watching the wedding, and I hear my little faggoty, fluty voice. Ladies and gentlemen. You know who I was? I was Manny from season 1 of Modern Family. That's who I was. I was this little brown squeaky, and I just... Because when you hear your own voice in your head, it reverberates off your goddamn skull.
Yeah.
And it sounds a bit, use a tone of bass that you hear that people don't hear. Your voice is always going to sound deeper in your own head than it actually does. And so when I heard how my voice truly sounded, I lost so much confidence. I lost confidence. I felt, and so yeah, that's ultimately why I was proud to hear my voice drop when people started thinking I was my dad.
Right.
But even my dad and I don't have deep voices.
Yeah, I don't have a deep voice.
You do have a deep voice. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's deeper than mine.
Oh, that's just because I'm putting it on for the podcast.
Yes, you are quite fluty when we hang this thing up.
Yeah.
But I hope that we continue to age well. People always say, I always hear that men age better than women. And I think, honestly, people age differently than people. I don't think that generally men... I guess
I feel like that, you know what? I feel like that's a really indicative of is just the patriarchy. The fucking patriarchy.
Are you trying to tell me that Sean Connery looks better than Jessica Lange? Like, are you trying to tell me that, it's just, I don't think that's
like, how can that even be true? Like, they just age. That's just a man aging, and that's just a woman aging. What the fuck are you talking about?
Aging has nothing to do with what's between your legs. It has to do with your diet and how much fucking retinol cream you're using every night.
Yeah. You're just more judgmental of women.
Exactly.
The person who established that?
Oh, no. I think most of my heroes, if not... I actually don't know if I have any heroes that I look up to who are younger than me, and not by a prude, I don't look up to people younger than me. All of my heroes are quite older than me. All of the people I look up to are at least 20, 30 years older, and or dead, and died at a very old age. But I don't know. I don't fear getting old. I'll tell you what I do fear.
Tell me.
Death.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I do fear death, but I do not fear getting old. I think that... I do fear the physical challenges that I'll just have to keep tuning with, because a lot of what I do is physical. Just me hurting my leg has postponed a shoot that it's like I don't want to think that I'm going to keep getting hurt more and more. But I think as long as I take care of myself, like what I did. Okay, if you saw this injury, when you see this injury, it was like. I honestly think it would hurt anyone badly.
No, it totally sounds like
I don't think yes, part of me is like, yes, it's because I'm getting older, but also it's like the injury was pretty unfortunate. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to, but it is a good wake up call to say that feeling of difficulty just having to cross the street. You see an old person crossing the street and you think, oh, hurry up. Right. Or maybe it's just me, but I'm just kidding. But when you see, when I was having to cross the street to walk to a fucking Starbucks 3 blocks away, and I'm having to realize, do I turn back now or do I keep going? In that moment, I'm like, this must be how many people who are not just old, but can't, just are.
Right.
This might be how it feels like.
That's exactly right. Like when I was younger and I pulled up at a stoplight and I saw an old person crossing, God, geez, that is so slow. And now I see it, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That is so slow. That must be really fucking hard. Look at that person going to the grocery store. on a walker. Like
there's a lot of elderly people because there's a lot of older people in where I live, a lot of old Korean people, and they always cross the street. So a few of them, like if I'm crossing the street and I see an old person at the same time, like I know that I can make it when it says 3 seconds left. Right? But then if I see an old person who has that same mentality and I know they're not going to make it, morally, I can't just walk my normal pace and leave them behind. Like I have to walk with them,
right.
Not like help them and hold their hand,
right.
but just pretend like, oh, suddenly I'm walking at this pace too, to make sure. Like that anyone who would be cutting through here sees two people and not one.
Right.
And that knowing that what if that old person did get hit, I don't want to be like, I could have saved them or I could have, done something about it. So in that case, I will, but trust me, I still feel the frustration. Like, oh, come on, we're both going to die. Like, woo. But anyway, I look forward to I think people should have at least one hero who's an elderly person, because at least it'll give you a sense of looking forward to your future. If all your heroes are in their own,
and you gotta have a direction. Like, I want to be this. This is the person I want to be,
or at least the person I want to be eventually. I have a lot of heroes who are younger too, but a lot of my heroes are I think it's good to have a trajectory of where you want to be when you hit 70, when you hit 80, 90, or whatever. I think it's important to have someone who's like, I want my life to be something like that when I get to that age, or just have some kind of, or at least to remind yourself that it's not going to be miserable when you get really old, because you're going to be the most experiential person you ever were when you get to that age. Like, you are going to have all the wisdom and all, like right now, I'm the most powerful version of myself. I'm the smartest, I'm the most clever, and the most intellectual, both mentally and emotionally, version of myself I have ever been in my life. And tomorrow, I'm going to be even better. Really quick, I want to add one last thing. When we get like right now, I'm at an age where my parents had me not super young, but they had me when they were in their early 20s.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this. It's weird to be at an age where I can remember my parents. I have memories of my parents.
Wait a minute. I saw you when you were my age. Holy shit.
And younger.
It's like the flip side of seeing a younger generation is like you now have seen an older generation and you've become the same age as what the older generation was.
Right. And I think I speak for many people when I say that it's a very common thing to demonize your parents, especially in your 20s when you're starting to become a real adult in society. You start to blame your parents for, God, I wish they taught me this. God, I wish they had done this differently. If they had just done this little thing differently, I would have turned out to be this kind of a person. But now I'm at an age where I'm starting to look at them and I'm like, they were just kids younger than me. Like, they were just... I can't stop. I have to stop blaming kids. I can't keep blaming these children for, because if I were to see my parents, like my parents had me when they were, I want to say 22. Okay. So a lot of the stuff I blame my parents for happened when I was like 5 or 6. So that's what, 27. If I saw my parents, these couple of 27-year-olds, it's like I would think, well, they're learning. They're kids, or they don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't.
They were told that they had to have kids at this age. They didn't understand.
Right.
And then this happened. Surprise, surprise. And they did the best they could.
I think when I look at, like, in my head, they're still so much older. Like, the 27 version of my parents in my mind is like still like the 40-something-year-old version.
Right.
Or something. Like,
you don't remember the number. You remember the feeling of them being older.
Of this person being older than me. Like, I didn't like that they did this when I was a kid, but there was also like...
They were old and wise at the time. It's like, wait, they were 27.
Exactly. So, I think it's refreshing, at least. If you haven't considered that, definitely consider it. Your parents, you will one day be older than your parents. I hate that I'm only speaking to the younger crowd, because I feel like there's older people who could be listening to this who just hear a 30-year-old talking about, he knows all about the... But at least I don't know everything. But I'm speaking from what I have learned thus far in my life. And I am at a point where I'm starting to just... It is a weird feeling to have a grudge. I don't want to say... a grudge kind of fizzle away. not that I have I'm begrudged against my parents, but
yeah,
there are
but you just have to
things
understand them and humanize them a bit more. And you're like, wow, I was like right to be angry at that, but now my scope on them has become even larger, and the anger is a smaller portion of the whole feeling.
It's quite literally the feeling of blame fizzling out. Like it's the feeling of just, resentment and blame for whatever reason.
Not for me, but go ahead.
Well, no, I shouldn't say resentment, but I
that's still strong within me. I haven't grown up, maybe. To the same degree.
I have resentment for a lot of things about my childhood, and I love my parents so much. I think that they did a great job raising me. Really, I think that they are great parents. I'm very lucky that I was born into them. I could have been born into any other fucking family. I got some pretty cool, really loose, fun parents, but ultimately they were kids and they didn't know everything that they were doing. And they've apologized. Like my dad has apologized for so much. He was like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like I didn't know it. And I get it because, and my mom too, both of them realized that they, and so that mixed with, I don't even trust myself with a kid now. My parents had to learn everything when they were 22. Right. So, yeah, it's just the feeling of I hate using the word resentment, but it is a form of resentment that does usually resentment. I don't know. It's a weird feeling that it's hard to snuff out. It's a flame that's like hard to put out because it never goes anywhere. It's like because what's the resolution of that? You
have to get over it.
It's like you have to get over it, or you confront them and then you feel bad in a different way, or whatever, but to suddenly have a realization and see things in a different perspective is like, I think the most satisfying way to get that toxicity out of your soul. Because there's like, you just are seeing the greater picture for what it is. There's no arguing. There's no one to blame. It's just, that was an unfortunate circumstance and there's nothing more. And if you're still angry about it, then that's a delusion.
Right. And actually I would confirm that, like I'm joking about like still having resentment, and I'm being honest about that, but I also do agree that points to my need to let that go, to accept. There's things that I need to accept and like get over. I would say there's still lingering stuff like that. Yeah, 100%.
Or like maybe not even my parents' fault, but my parents would like put me in like things that I didn't want to be in, and then I get bullied in those, and like sports, and like I didn't want to.
You're like, why do you do that? And, right. But you have to be like, well, that happened, right? And I'm who I am, and. Moving on. Yeah. And it's like, my parents, I think they're very self-aware, and they're very self-aware of, the things they did well, and they're self-aware of the things that they could have improved on, and they've acknowledged them. So I was lucky enough to get a sense of closure from them in that regard. Not everyone. Okay, so you cheated, motherfucker.
Well, you got to cheat sometimes. Hey, I wouldn't have passed high school if I didn't cheat. I wouldn't have graduated. You think I got that diploma honestly? No. But
no, that's a good note. That's really interesting. Right.
Same way I got my streaming. No. But
trust me, everything.
Right. I'm a fraud. No, but I think that it is important to come to that age and really try and get to that age as early as you can. And by age, I mean just that point in your life where you realize your parents.
Yeah, it's a true realization.
And maybe your parents were villains. Maybe your parents are fucked up in the head. I don't know. Mine weren't. And I think that most people's aren't. Most of my friends love their parents but feel similar, where it's like, I wish they did this differently. And most of my friends are in their 30s, and most of us are getting to an age where we're starting to see our parents as equals and not parents, or in terms of in our mind. Like every time I go back home and I visit my family, I see my aunts, uncles, my grandparents as equals. Like I see them like these are other adults,
fellow humans,
rather, as opposed to like, those
are the grown-ups and I'm one of the kids.
I mean, even in college, it's like, so how's college going? What are you going to do after college? You're still kind of that kid figure that has to prove something a little bit. And
I think it's always relative, because if I'm 30 and I'm talking to a 65-year-old person, there's some degree of that too. It's like, well, I'm doing this. Like, I remember that.
What a great, I was talking, with Anthony yesterday. Anthony came up.
Who?
Anthony Padillo.
Okay. I've seen
Padildo.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought I was so clever when I first said that to him. But I thought, he's never heard this before. No, I twisted. Yeah, he saw that he brought me a hamburger and what was it? Well, it was a vegan hamburger. It was actually very good, and a joint. Anthony, what I respect about him is that he's very proactive with time. Like he's someone who seems to value time, especially looking at like where he, just the last 10 years, how he's just always working on something. And I like people. I mean, like most people I know are usually like understand like, okay, what are we doing this week? Okay, we're not just going to take this week off. Let's work on something. Let's work on, we're always having to be proactive. I just think I'm just very lucky that I'm no longer in the mindset of trying to speed time up. Like, because I was for so long, and I thought there was nothing wrong with that. And I guess there is, I don't know. I mean, spending time, everyone should spend their time however they want, but it is just sad thinking that I spent so much of my life just trying to speed it up. And it's like, part of me is imagine what I could have done productively or just that was more enjoyable if I had just stopped and smelled the roses while I was there. Because you'll never be there again, as miserable as it is. And I have to keep reminding myself this even now. It's like, I wish I was, but right. Then you look back in your life and it's like, I do miss this about the law firm. I do miss these, the people I would work with from time to time, the lunch breaks we would go on together. and it's like, if I could go back in time and tell myself one thing, it would be just like, smell these roses, because even though you don't like the patch they're planted in, you're not going to be here forever, and just enjoy this while you're in this part of your life.
When I was bartending, I realized, I was like, damn, someday I'm going to wish that I had more fun doing in this exact moment that I'm living in. Like, I'm bartending, I'm not, this isn't where I want to be, but I'm getting by right now. This is what I have to do. And I'm just going to, like, later I'm going to wish that I let myself have more fun and enjoy this part of my life. And it's 100% true. I tried, but it's right. Hard advice to take, but you can even know it like that. And it's still really difficult to do, but it's also something you really should try to do. It's like, smell these roses right now.
Yeah. I don't believe in horoscopes, really. I think we talked about this before. I don't really believe too much in the authenticity of what they say, but I thought to myself, there's this general theme today of me feeling like I keep getting beaten down. Like I keep trying something really hard. Like I was at that shoot, I was trying to do my best job with this stunt, and I end up hurting myself for it. And then I was like, and I just felt like I kept getting beaten down. And then someone sent someone sent me this app that morning. It was like a horoscope app, and I just was like, oh, wait, whatever. And then I pulled it up. I'm like, I'm going to pull up my horoscope today, and if there is a general theme of feeling defeated and not wanting to be here, then I'll start to believe in it. And it was weird. It said exactly. It was like you feel like you wish you were at a different point in your life or your career, like you wish you were ahead further. And it's like, but you need to understand that you need to stop and and enjoy this passing phase before it's gone, because you'll realize that you live your whole life looking back, you will have lived so much of your life wishing you weren't there. And all you ever have is the present. So when you're wishing away the present, it's like you're wishing away. It's like it's a true miserable state of mind, because you're never going to be anywhere else. It's like you want to enjoy the present while you have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The present is... This is so kind of weird to say, but like the present is present. It is now. It's the only thing that you can enjoy. You can't enjoy the future right now. You can't enjoy the past right now. But right now you can enjoy the present.
And I think that what's important to know, what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't. Some people enjoy the present a little too much. I have so many lazy friends from school and that I knew in college just did nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying be like that, but
enjoy the present, like in terms of the whole. Like you're going to build what you want, but like enjoy the present so that, like in the future, you are glad you're looking back and you're like, I'm glad I enjoyed the present. Yeah, like I did.
Right. And the way I look at it is like, if I could go back in time travel to any point in my life, I want as many of those points to be like, yeah, I want to go there again. Yeah, I want it to feel, because I was in such a happy moment at that time. Like when I fucking become Ebenezer Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas past takes me through I want as many scenes to be, enjoyable when I watch them. Right. And I don't know. I do think it's important to remember where you want to be. I think it's important to remember like where you want to get to and to be actively pursuing that. But I think that, like for me, I'm going through this discipline of trying to remind myself, I'll get there. I will never be here again. Because I wish I could have told myself that when I was at the law firm. And then that version of me wish I could have told myself that when I was still living in Livermore. And so on and so forth. And it's like, I feel like my whole life is just me wishing I could tell myself a few years ago, it'll get better. It'll get better. Don't worry.
Right.
And it usually always does. It always does.
And you're just wondering when you take that advice, like right now.
It's like, I wish I could listen to the me like a few years from now going, I wish you'd stress out less.
Yeah.
And I know it's how I just...
It's so crazy. That's so true. Your whole life.
I'm always perpetually like afraid of either failing or upset that I'm not further. And I'm just, it's a miserable state of mind.
Right, you gotta let go of that. It's hard to, but yeah.
But I know but when I do have moments like where I'm just with friends that are at a diner, and we're eating food or having some drinks or smoking some weed at Sue John's house or whatever, it's like there is those moments where you forget all the shit and you just live truly. Like when you truly live in the moment, it is a beautiful feeling. And usually after we're done with shoots, it's usually that's the case. We just like go to the nearest restaurant and or just whatever. It's we're done filming. Let's all hang out and.
It's a great feeling.
And it is a great feeling. I think you should have those moments all the time. There are certain moments in life that are just truly just amazing and they can last for hours. And I think, just knowing when you're in one of those moments, just be, because you're going to die one day. You are. And I don't care how many lives you have after this one or how many you think you might not or do. Like, you're only going to get this one time. And I don't know. It's like a video game. Like I'll do a playthrough once, I'll do a playthrough again or whatever. And each playthrough I do with any video game, I'm like, this is going to be a unique one. And that's going to be a journey. It's a cool, special way. And I feel like, I don't know, life, if we do have different versions of ourselves or if we're reincarnated or whatnot, don't you want each one of them to be an interesting, great playthrough?
Yeah. Before
you have to restart it? Oh. Anyways, I definitely feel much older now since we started this podcast, this episode.
We are older. That's a fact. It's true.
Yeah. And almost done with puberty.
It's coming.
It's coming. I will be too one day. Anyways, guys, I whatever age you are, I hope you are enjoying life to the fullest potential. And if you're indoors listening to this, get outside. It's springtime and the weather's probably great where you live. Enjoy it and enjoy the present. And the first step to enjoying the present is to stop listening to podcasts and go and have until next week. But seriously, go enjoy the day. Jonathan, anything you want to add?
Don't forget to take advice from your future self.
Oh, yes. Always take advice from your future self. Very good. Unless he's in prison, don't listen.
Question his motives.
Right. Question his motives. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a great day. Please be safe and just have fun.